what's up? I hope you're all having a good day or night, depending on where you are or what time you are watching this right now. So, yeah, today we're just doing the next reading of Diary of Wimpy Kid. So, this is the third one. Yeah, this is the third reading. So, I'm gonna start on page 50 and then go to page 75 because I'm going in intervals of 25 pages per video that I do with this. So, yeah. And I think this is the first one I'm doing with the mic, so that's cool. And also, sorry if you can hear background noise. We got construction going on a few houses down, so that's what that is. So sorry if you can hear that. I turned like the gain all the way down to make it as quiet as possible, but it is pretty loud. So yeah, not much else I can do about that. So hopefully it's not too bad though. Hopefully. Okay, so page 50. Whoops, passed it. Okay. I'll just do a little recap real quick of where we left off. Rowley showed up at my house wearing his Halloween costume from last year. When I called him earlier, I told him to just wear regular clothes, but of course, he didn't listen. And then when I show the pictures, I'm going to try not to bang on the mic too bad. And I know it's still never really going to be in focus, but you can still kind of make out the pictures, but it's kind of iffy, you know. Okay. I try not to let it bother me too much, though. I've never been allowed to go to the Crossland Dotted House before, and I wasn't going to let Rowley ruin it for me. Roderick has told me all about it, and I've been looking forward to this for about 3 years. Anyway, when we got to the entrance, I started having second thoughts about going in. And this person saying, whoops, wrong page. Nope. Wait, what happened? Oh, it flipped. This person saying, good evening, but like very creepily, even though you can't really read it, but yeah, they got their head on the table, and then, yeah, they're freaking out. But Mom seemed like she was in a hurry to get this over with, and she moved us along. Once we were through the gate, it was one scare after another. There were vampires jumping out at you and people without heads and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the worst part was this area called Chainsaw Alley. There was this big guy in a hockey mask, and he had a real chainsaw. Roderick told me the chainsaw has a rubber blade, but I wasn't taking any chances. Yeah, if you come after me with a real chainsaw, even if like the chain's not there or anything, I'm either gonna leave you in the dust or going to plant you in the dust. I don't know, that sounds kind of cocky, but yeah, that's I would most likely run, but if for some reason I decide to fight, I will do what I can to not let the chainsaw get near me, because who would, you know? I mean, I've seen plenty of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In fact, I've seen them all, so if I even so much as see a chainsaw, I just think of Leatherface and automatic, like, I'm not cool with it, you know? Right when it looked like the chainsaw guy was going to catch us, Mom stepped in and bailed us out. That's very nice of her. She says, that's not nice. And then he said, I'm sorry, ma'am. Mom made the chainsaw guy show us where the exit was, and that was the end of our haunted house experience right there. I guess it was a little embarrassing when Mom did that, but I am willing this one time. Alright, now we're on to Saturday. The Crossland Haunted House really got me thinking. Those guys were charging $5 a pop, and the lines stretched halfway around the school. I decided to make a haunted house of my own. Actually, I had to bring Rowley in on the deal, because Mom wouldn't let me convert our first floor into a full-out haunted mansion. That would be kind of cool, though, transforming your house into a haunted house. That's pretty cool. They did that in Modern Family, and it was pretty cool. I knew Rowley's dad wouldn't be crazy about the idea either, so we decided to build the haunted house in his basement and just not mention it to his parents. Me and Rowley spent most of the day coming up with an awesome plan for our haunted house. Here was our final plan. Okay. So, got a crazy picture here. So it starts right here with the Hall of Screams, and then it goes to the Lake of Blood, and then to the Bottomless Pit, and then to a rat tunnel, and then to a maze of 1,000 skulls, then to Knife Alley. Then from there you go to Hand Hall, and then to Death Slide that goes into an acid lake, and then you exit. Okay, how do you get out of the bottomless pit though? That's my question. I don't know. I'll show you again though. If you can kind of see it, like here's the skulls right there, and then over here's the rat tunnel. There's the Knife Alley, and then the hands right next to it. Yeah. We realized, no, sorry. I don't mean to brag or anything, but what we came up with was way better than the Crossland High School haunted house. We realized we were going to need to get the word out that we were doing this thing, so we got some paper and made up a bunch of flyers. I'll admit, maybe we stretched the truth a little in our advertisement, but we had to make sure people actually showed up. And they got in their flyer, haunted house with live sharks, and then where it is, and admission is only 50 cents, so that's pretty cool. But I'm willing to bet Greg's haunted house is just like his version of the Willy Wonka factory massacre in tragedy in Glasgow. Was that where it was? I don't remember where it was, but you all remember the really bad Willy Wonka event, if you can even call it that, with the unknown and the Oompa Loompa giving out like 2 jelly beans. No, not even 2, maybe just 1 jelly bean, and the tiny spit of lemonade to like all the kids, and it was just awful. That was funny. That was a funny time. But yeah, sure, it sucked for all the kids, but you know, I wasn't there, so it's just funny to me. By the time we finished putting the flyers up around the neighborhood and got back to Rowley's basement, it was already 2:30, and we hadn't even started putting the actual haunted house together yet. So we had to cut some corners from our original plan. When 3 o'clock rolled around, we looked outside to see if anyone had showed up, and sure enough, there were about 20 neighborhood kids waiting in line outside Rowley's basement. Now I know our flyer said admission was 50 cents, but I could see that we had a chance to make a killing here. So I told the kids that admission was $2, and the 50-cent thing was just a typo. See, if y'all didn't know this, I am like one of the biggest Greg Heffley haters out there. I've never liked Greg Heffley, okay? I never have, never will. I don't care if he redeemed himself in the end of this book. He's just, yeah, nah, he's positions in the Hall of Screams. The Hall of Screams is basically a bed with me and Rowley on either side of it. And then there they are on both sides, screaming at him. I guess maybe we made the Hall of Screams a little too scary because halfway through, Shane curled up in a ball underneath the bed. We tried to get him to crawl out from under there, but he wouldn't budge. I started thinking about all the money we were losing with this kid clogging up the Hall of Screams, and I knew we had to get him out of there quick. Eventually, Riley's dad came downstairs. At first, I was happy to see him because I thought he could help us drag Shane out from under the bed, and get our haunted house cranking again. But Riley's dad wasn't really in a helpful mood. Riley's dad wanted to know what we were doing and why Shane Snella was curled up under the bed. We told him that the basement was a haunted house and that Shane Snella actually paid for us to do this to him. But Riley's dad did not believe us. I admit that if you looked around, it didn't really look like a haunted house. All we had time to put together was the Hall of Screams and the Lake of Blood, which was just Rowley's old baby pool with half a bottle of ketchup in it. I tried to show Rowley's dad our original plan to prove that we really were running a legitimate operation, but he still didn't seem convinced. Yeah. At least they got the kid out, though. And to make a long story short, that was the end of our haunted house. The good news is, since Riley's dad did not believe us, he didn't make us refund Shane's money, so at least we cleared $2 today. Alright, on to Sunday. Riley ended up getting grounded for that whole haunted house mess yesterday. He's not allowed to watch TV for a week, and he's not allowed to have me over at his house during that time. That last part really isn't fair because that's punishing me, and I didn't even do anything wrong. And now where am I supposed to play my video games? Anyway, I felt kind of bad for Rowley, so tonight I tried to make it up to him. I turned on one of Rowley's favorite TV shows, and I did a play-by-play over the phone, so we could kind of experience it that way. Then he's saying, "Wow, look at the size of that flamethrower," and he says, "Oh, never mind." I did my best to keep up with what was going on the screen, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure if Rowley was getting the full effect. And then Greg on the phone is saying, he bets this part is going to be funny, and he's like, "Yeah, ha, 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 ha. It was funny, I was right." And Rowley's just like, not a clue what happened. See, this is why I don't like Greg. Like, it's not helping. And what do you mean you didn't do anything wrong? You were the whole cause of the problem. Like, I don't like Greg Heffley, okay? I can't stand him. Okay, but I like Roderick, and I like Hank, and Manny's okay in the mom school. Actually, no, I don't really like Manny either. Manny and Greg, I don't like them, but the other Heffleys are alright with me. Alright, on to Tuesday. Well, Rowley's grounding is finally over, and just in time for Halloween too. I went up to his house to check out his costume, and I have to admit, I'm a little jealous. Rowley's mom got him this night costume that's way cooler than his costume from last year. His night outfit came with a helmet and a shield and a real sword and everything. It's pretty cool. I've never had a store-bought costume before. I still haven't figured out what I'm gonna go as tomorrow night, so I will probably just throw something together at the last minute. I figure maybe I'll bring back the toilet paper mummy again, but I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow night, so that might not be the smartest choice. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. costumes, and I'm starting to think it's actually having an effect on the amount of candy I'm bringing in. And one of the Halloweens, he just wore two baseball hats and said it was a cowboy costume. And then there's the adult saying, "What are you supposed to be?" Yeah. See, I've never, when I used to, what am I trying to say? When I went trick or treating, I haven't been trick or treating in like 6 years now or something. I don't know. Actually longer than that. Yeah, it's probably been closer to about 9 years, maybe 10 since I last trick or treated. It's been a long time, but the costumes were always the fun part to me. Like getting candy was fun and all, but the costume and what I went as was like the best part. So, see, another reason to not like Greg Heffley. He doesn't put any effort into his costumes and expects to get all the candy. Like, no, that's not how it works. But I don't really have the time to put together a good costume because I'm in charge of planning out the best route for me and Rowley to take tomorrow night. This year I have come up with a plan that'll get us at least twice the candy we scored last year. Alright, now we're on to Halloween. About an hour before we were supposed to start trick-or-treating, I still didn't have a costume. At that point, I was seriously thinking about going as a cowboy for the second year in a row. But then, Mom knocked at my door and handed me a pirate costume with an eye patch and a hook and everything. There his mom goes, saving the day. Susan Heffley has things covered. Rowley showed up at around 6:30 wearing his night costume, but it didn't look anything like it looked yesterday. Rowley's mom made all these safety improvements to it, and you couldn't even tell what he was supposed to be anymore. She cut out a big hole in the front of the helmet so he could see better and covered him up in all this reflective tape. She made him wear his winter coat underneath everything, and she replaced his sword with a glow stick. Yeah. He looks like some kind of Eskimo because he has like a scarf around like half of his face with a little hoodie. Then he has a giant X on his chest. Like, yeah, he's not a knight anymore. He's more of like a downgraded or upgraded peasant. He's an upgraded peasant instead of a knight. He got downgraded from a knight, but he's still better looking than a peasant because of his glow stick and his shield. But he has like the hood and stuff to resemble a peasant, from those times at least. I grabbed my pillowcase and me and Rowley started to head out, but Mom stopped us before we could get out the door. And she's saying, I want you to take Manny with you. And Manny's a little pirate. Manny's a little pirate as well, with a little mustache. Man, I should have known there was a catch when Mom gave me that costume. I told Mom there was no way we were taking Manny with us because we were going to hit 152 houses in 3 hours, and plus we were going to be on Snake Road, which is way too dangerous for a little kid like Manny. I should have never mentioned that last part because the next thing I knew, Mom was telling Dad he had to go along with us to make sure we didn't step foot outside our neighborhood. Dad tried to squirm out of it, but once Mom makes up her mind, there's no way you can change it. Here she goes, slamming the door in their face, making them all leave. Before we even got out of our own driveway, we ran into our neighbor, Mr. Mitchell, and his kid, Jeremy, so of course they tagged along with us. Manny and Jeremy wouldn't trick-or-treat at any house with spooky decorations on them, so that ruled out pretty much much every house on our block. Dad and Mitchell started talking about football or something, and every time one of them wanted to make a point, they'd stop walking. There they are, yapping away. Like, I'm just trying to get some candy here, you know? But they don't care. So we were hitting only about one house every 20 minutes. After a couple of hours, Dad and Mr. Mitchell took the little kids home. I was glad because that meant me and Rowley could take off. My pillowcase was almost empty, so I wanted to make up as much time as possible. A little while later, Rowley told me he needed a potty break. I made him hold off for another 45 minutes, but by the time we got to my grandma's house, it was pretty clear that if I didn't let Rowley use the bathroom, it was going to get messy. So I told Rowley if he wasn't back outside in 1 minute, I was going to start helping myself to his candy. Yeah, see what I mean? Master manipulator. After that, we headed back out on the road, but it was already 10:30, and I guess that's when most grown-ups decide Halloween is over. You can kind of tell because that's when they start coming to the door in their pajamas and giving you the evil eye. Yeah, it's not focused at all, but he is giving them an evil eye, so we decided to head home. We made up a lot of time after Dad and Manny left, so I was pretty satisfied with how much candy we took in. When we were halfway home, this pickup truck came roaring down the street with a bunch of high school kids in it. The kid in the back was holding a fire extinguisher, and when the truck passed by, he opened fire. He got him good. I have to give Rowley credit because he blocked about 95% of the water with his shield, and if he hadn't done that, all our candy would have gotten soaked. When the truck drove away, I yelled out something that I regretted about 2 seconds later, and he yelled, "We're calling the cops. We're calling the cops, calling the cops, calling the cops." The driver slammed on the brakes and he turned his truck around. Me and Rowley started running, but those guys were right on our heels. The only place I could think of that was safe was Grandma's house, so we cut through a couple of backyards to get there. Grandma was in bed already, but I knew she keeps a key under the mat on her front porch. Once we got inside, I looked out the window to see if those guys had followed us, and sure enough, they did. I tried to trick them into leaving, but they wouldn't budge. And Greg's yelling out the window saying they're safe in their own house now, so they can't get them, but they don't care. They're just sitting there. They're waiting patiently. Waiting very patiently. After a while, we realized the teenagers were going to wait us out. So we decided we were just going to have to spend the night at Grandma's. That's when we started getting cocky, making monkey noises at the teenagers and whatnot. Well, at least I was making monkey noises. Rowley was kind of making owl noises, but I guess that it was the same general idea. And he's saying, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah. And Rowley's like, ooh, 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 like an owl. But, or, ooh, ooh, ooh. I called Mom to tell her we were going to crash at Grandma's for the night, but Mom sounded really mad on the phone. She said it was a school night and that we had to get home right that instant, so that meant we were going to have to make a run for it. I looked out the window, and this time I didn't see the truck, but I knew those guys were hiding somewhere and were just trying to draw us out. So we snuck out the back door, hopped over Grandma's fence, and ran all the way to Snake Road. I figured our chances were better there because there aren't any street lights. Snake Road is scary enough on its own without having a truckload of teenagers hunting you down. Every time we saw a car coming, we dove bushes. It must have taken us a half hour to go 100 yards. They're dropping, are they? Yeah, they're dropping some of their candy as they go. Oh wait, no, those are broken beer bottles, or just broken bottles. Alright, last two pages. But believe it or not, we made it all the way home without getting caught. Neither one of us let our guard down until we got to my driveway. He's saying, relief. They made it. Somehow they made it. But right then, there was this awful scream, and we saw a big wave of water coming toward us. They got splashed pretty good. Man, I forgot all about Dad, and we totally paid the price for it. And now their candy is all soaked. And he's just saying, whoops, sorry. When me and Rowley got inside, we laid out all our candy on the kitchen table. The only things we could salvage were a couple of mints that were wrapped in cellophane, and the toothbrushes Dr. Garrison gave us. I think next Halloween I'll just stay home and mooch some Butterfingers from the bowl Mom keeps on the top of the refrigerator. Okay, pretty good stopping point. So, yeah, that was the next 25 pages of the book. Got through Halloween and everything. So, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are much more relaxed and sleepy now. Every time I do one of these videos of reading this book, it always makes me really tired. So, yeah, anyway, again, I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you all very much for watching. So yeah, let me know how you liked it, if you're still liking this series of reading this book, and if you like it enough to where I could always read something